Well, we sent out our troops. We've always been very grassrootsy. We started knocking doors again, and we kept hearing back from the campaign trail. People would come back and say, that what we're hearing is that we don't even, that these voters don't even know if they agree with Seth, because frankly they didn't understand the issues very well. But we really like the fact that somebody's standing up and making a difference and challenging the status quo. And we won by 75% of the vote that next time out. And so that very first meeting, after having won re-election, we fired the man that I had been fighting for 4 years. He turned out to be pretty corrupt. And we won that battle. And that second term in city council was a whole lot more productive for me for two reasons. And this is where the Tea Party and the 912 and the Patriot groups are fitting in. For two reasons we were more productive. Number one, I learned that you didn't always lay your cards on the table face up. I learned that they weren't playing from the same set of the decks all the time, and that you had to learn what motivated these people, and often it wasn't the truth. I wish I could stand here and tell you it is in politics, but it's not. And that's what frustrates each of us. I know it's what frustrates you all. I'll let you determine whether I'm different than them. I hope you see that. But it's not the truth in most cases. It's some other motivating factor. It's their power. It's how they look out front. I mean, I learned how to do it all. I learned how to make sure that this lady got credit even if she had very little to do with it, because she changed a comma to a period, and now we call it the Caleb's plan. Oh, good. Well, if that's what I need to get Caleb's vote, fine, Karen, good job. So I learned how to play those cards a little better. But I also learned that really it's that because of their motivating factors, once that victory was had, they started to pay a little bit more of attention. Because at that point, the grassroots had spoken, the people had spoken, and so I hadn't even been sworn into my second term, and we did what I had been fighting for 3.5 years to get done, which we should have done about 2 years earlier that we did it, which was let this man go. And that second term, we ended up cutting taxes. We ended up actually letting another city manager go that continued to challenge and be a thorn in the side of the organization of that city. The tax cut was a little interesting because it resulted when myself, and this is the other part of the story I'm leaving out, sorry, it was really a Democrat who came to my aid through all of this. It was a Democrat who I believe shares many of my values. He and I disagree on several policies, but his dad was a Democrat. He never chose to switch parties. Doesn't really matter to him. And I learned through that it's really about the motivating factors of these people, not what party affiliation they're with. He was my brother-in-arms in most of these battles. He was my brother-in-arms on the tax decrease plan. And when we initiated that, they tried to recall myself and him and 2 other members off the council. And it was led by former bureaucrats. It was led by the unions in that area who were scared to death that we were going to actually challenge them out front. And we did. And of course the tax decrease plan passed, because what voter is going to go to the poll and not say, yeah, I'd like a break on my income. So all that led to me running for the State House. And I serve there now. I've continued to try to do what I can in the State House. I serve as the policy chairman of our caucus. We have done a lot to try to stand up for values that I think each of you would believe in. We don't get a whole lot of press for that because we're in the minority. We don't control the gavel. We can't move our agenda along. Our agenda this time around included things like reorganizing state government that would have stopped this retroactive tax increase that the governor passed. Things like, frankly, cutting our own salaries until Ohio's economy recovers. One of the big news stories that I got the opportunity to participate in is when the governor brought his education plan through the budget to the Ohio House, and I served as the ranking member on the subcommittee that was hearing it. And I had just one simple question for him, which was, Governor, where's the evidence? Because he called it his evidence-based education plan. And they kept touting all this great work of body of research they had that supported their conclusions. Their conclusions to me looked like a big union giveaway and increased spending and not focused on the child as much as it should have been. So I kept saying, where's the evidence, Governor? We filed 2 public records requests against him, and eventually we sued him in the Ohio Supreme Court. And he followed the path of what every other person's done, and that's fought against me, even my current primary opponent in this primary for auditor. He played the age card. He went on NPR News there in the Columbus radio market and called me immature. Well, at this point, I don't take it all so seriously anymore because I've lived through some of these battles. I laughed my rear end off when I heard that because I couldn't believe he took the bait. He called me immature for suing him. The problem was he hadn't followed Ohio law, so the Ohio Supreme Court found in my favor. And it really kind of changed the debate on the education plan. But let me talk to you about briefly this auditor's run, and then I want to talk about you folks, because you're playing a key role. I am running for Auditor of State. I am a CPA. You know that already. I have state and local finance background. I'm running for Auditor of State. I announced after Mary Taylor decided to join John Kasich as his Lieutenant Governor candidate. And you folks probably know the story. After I announced, Kevin DeWine asked David Yost to stop running against Mike DeWine for Attorney General and instead come run against me. Folks, there's all kinds of reasons for that, for which I'm happy to answer questions. I can tell you that I believe this whole thing was about control. It was more about control than it was about Mike DeWine, frankly. I think, there's been a lot of allegations that this was a way to get Mike a free pass. Might have been. I'm not going to second guess their familial relationship. I've been told by multiple sources that they're not even close. I can tell you that, how do I delicately put this? I can tell you that some of the powers that be, including Kevin, they know where I stand, and they have watched me in action. Kevin's from my neighboring county, okay? It's not like Kevin knew of me long before you folks did. And they knew that when I was asked to support a particular liberal person to lead our caucus after the 2008 elections, and I was offered, frankly, money to do it, I told them no. They knew that when there was a plan in Montgomery County to consolidate dispatch centers that would not have worked for the people of Huber Heights, and at that time I was a city council member, and I was warned that this was a big deal to the money interest and that this was a big deal to our Republican sheriff. I told them no. They knew those things. And so I think they also knew when I announced that I was going to run for Auditor of State that when they came to me and said you need to do X, Y, and Z, that they might not get the answer they were looking for. Now, there's been plenty of times I've told them yes. There's been plenty of times I've supported the agenda when it's right, but there's also been times that I've had to say no. And so I think this decision was more about we didn't want another wild hair on the statewide ballot in Seth Morgan. And so whatever the case is, it's water under the bridge. We now have a primary between myself and Mr. Yost. And I can tell you that I feel like, at least, our campaign's off to a roaring start. Of course, we're about to wrap up the primary campaign. But we have earned a lot of endorsements, and let me just speak to you about that briefly. I don't believe that we, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, have to walk away from the parties. Okay? I know there's a lot of call inside the Tea Party movement to do that. That's up to you folks. If you want to be independent, have at it. If you want to be participating in the Republican Party, have at it. But I can tell you, I think your strategy, and I shouldn't speak for you, but what I'm hearing from the Tea Party movement of taking over the parties from the inside out is a good strategy. And the reason it's a good strategy is the reason we get frustrated that we are voting against for the lesser of two evils, which I know we all felt like we did in 2008 for president, is because we don't control the party apparatus that puts these people up. I heard somebody say, we've heard it said it's the economy stupid. Well, somebody said it's the primary stupid. And that's really the right comment. Because we end up voting for the lesser of two because we don't have good people coming out of the primary. So I have very much appealed to the Republican base. And I can tell you that in my interaction with the Republicans in Montgomery County at least, we've often gone toe-to-toe with the quote-unquote leadership. But when you get below that layer of leadership that you always talk about, most of the Central Committee members, most of the people there that have the power to make the decision, most of them are just like you and I. They care about ideas, they care about ideals, they're worried about the conservative roots, they're worried about the Constitution, and what they need is a vision. They need leaders to stand up for them. They'll get behind them if they have an opportunity to do that. We saw that in my run for state rep, where some of the leadership was real excited about me. And we've seen that throughout Ohio as I've run for Auditor of State. That's why we've picked up the endorsements of Cuyahoga and Summit Republican parties and Lake County and Montgomery and Greene. It's kind of been a coup. We picked up the county that the current chairman lives and is on the Central Committee of, Greene County. We picked up the county of the former chairman's home county, Cuyahoga County, Bob Bennett. This all while the state party endorsed Mr. Yost. Perhaps most importantly to you folks and to me, we've also picked up the Ohio Tea Party PAC, which is the largest organization that is, I don't know, are you folks part of the Liberty Council? No? Okay, neither of you. Well, those that are, like the Dayton Tea Party and the Cincinnati Tea Party, there's many across the state, they have formed a PAC and they've endorsed.